start real low. I'm going to ask, do you know we hit a round number?
What?
Have we reached a milestone?
It's time to get hype in the rad zone for episode 150. Pew, 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 pew.
Oh yeah, fans, hit that like, that subscribe, y'all. We got hit numbers. We're on YouTube.
All right, back to your regular.
That was our April Fool's prank. We're back now.
Yeah, if we've talked about this before. We record on Mondays. And today is April Fools, and as a normal fool, I tried to say regular, and I can't say that word on this podcast in 150 episodes, and I continue to try. I shouldn't. I just shouldn't.
Got to keep shooting.
Yeah. Well, how does that work out sometimes?
I mean, sometimes you take an L.
Yep.
That was a good basketball reference and lead-in case you wanted to talk about March Madness, which is now in April, so it's April Madness.
All right. First, let's talk about that. There's a lot of time they could have been playing games, and they're not playing games.
Yeah. Sure
in the beginning of March, mostly.
Sure do love delaying everything for Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
And that's the part I understand. The part I don't understand is the first 2 weeks of March where there is no games being played.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
I think it's that all of the conference tournaments are not in the same weekend.
Yeah. There's the conference tournaments too, but they should play those a little earlier maybe.
I feel like the NCAA maybe has the power to tell them, hey, move them up. They could do that, I feel,
Michael, specifically, I was thinking of Stanford women's basketball, which was 1 for a million from the 3-point line.
Yeah, they did not shoot the last couple of games. They did not open up well from beyond the arc. I know that they lost pretty badly tonight. I did not see how well they shot from outside.
Notre Dame trounced them.
Yes, Notre Dame came storming back in the second half and beat them rather badly. It looks like they actually shot almost 50% from 3.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was not the problem tonight.
It's bad enough that it wasn't just a regular trouncing, it was a le trouncing.
Yeah, it's always worse in French.
Yikes.
Yo.
I can't claim to have followed the women's basketball tournament this year. However, I can say I did actually watch some basketball this past weekend.
Oh, yeah?
Sparty on?
Yeah. It was more of a hate watch, to be clear. I don't really have a team in it at all, really. If San Diego State had been in it, I guess I would have been watching for them, but they did not make it this year.
San Luis Obispo does not often make it out of their conference.
Yeah, they were in it. They were in the round of 64 one time. I remember. That was a thing years ago. And all the people were like, oh, it's a small school in the middle of California. I'm like, small? Not really small. Anyway. But I did watch Duke play against Michigan State. And I will say that was actually a really great game. And it was nice to see the correct team, which is not Duke, win.
Yay. Everyone dislikes Duke because they're good or because they bend the rules, or why?
Duke is a powerhouse. One of the teams that is always in the Final Four, seemingly, always making runs deep every year because
everyone
they have
dislikes NC State or North Carolina, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's NC State, it's them, it's UConn, it's the several of teams that get very deep frequently. Over and over and over. So it's just like people rooting against the underdog. Not that like Michigan State is some kind of like nobody team from nowhere.
Yeah, they've got a pretty good track record of their own.
Right. But they were by far the lower seed of the ones that were left in the round of 8. And they won, which was fun to see. So like now we have to pick teams to hate because there's no like obvious bad guys anymore.
Yeah. I knew it was too much to hope when UCI won their first game to think that they would win their second.
I will say that I watched that first game, the part of it.
It was fun.
That was great. Yeah, fun game. And I watched the other game, and actually it was not that bad. They did lose, but it wasn't like a blowout as much as I expected it to be.
It waited until the second half until it got bad.
Yeah. They lost, but they didn't lose by like 40. They lost by like 15.
JJ, my memory serves me correctly that we are of the same conference when it comes to basketball.
Is San? Oh, do you mean San Luis Obispo?
I believe
or
so.
San Diego State.
Okay. Hold on. Maybe this is the
San
wrong
Luis Obispo
poly.
San Luis Obispo is a Cal State school, so I don't know if they play in the same.
We play a lot of Cal States. Yeah,
I think that's right. I think
you're the Mustangs, right?
Yep, that's them.
Yeah. We're in the same conference for a lot of sports.
Cal Poly's basketball team isn't really
31-6 for UCI this past year.
Sounds. I mean, they made it to the tournament. They must be good.
They both share a 6 in a column.
Is ours in the win column?
Sure is. Also, I don't know how you played 8 less games.
I'm gonna go with
didn't make the conference tournament probably.
Yeah. Also, like we didn't go to any travel tournaments because no one wanted us there.
Got
that
it.
kind of stuff.
Wow.
The school has a football team.
True.
I can say.
It's yep.
They don't. They're fun to go see and drink at their game.
Nice.
I did that one time to say that I had done it.
Speaking of drinking,
before they built the nice stadium that they have now. Figures.
Yeah. Speaking of drinking,
There was a little bit of that this past week.
Yeah, I'm done.
This is still the time of year where I am jealous that you guys get to do this every year and I don't.
Friend,
it is a test of your endurance.
We're older than we think.
But what if you just went and like had fun?
Yeah, we had a great time.
There's no doubt about that part.
Yeah. I still had a great time when I was lying in bed texting Michael that my insides felt like they were revolting.
Was the beer bad?
No. Just
It wasn't a quality thing, it was a quantity thing.
It's a endurance thing, right? Like
food poisoning, quote unquote.
It's an endurance thing. And when you're 5-6 days in, and every beer seems to be 13% alcohol, and once you get there, you got to try them all because they're not coming back.
Right. I mean, absolutely. You got to try them all.
You just feel like maybe the French have stormed the Bastille next to your liver.
And it's not bad, JJ, when the beers are 12 and 13%, and it's 8-9 o'clock at night. Things are cool. The sun has gone down, but the last day starts at 11 and it runs all day. And if you don't want to get there in the crush at the end of the day, or if you want to be there for one of the special tappings on the last day, you have to get there early. But when it's 80 degrees outside and the beer is still 13.5% barrel-aged stout, you feel it.
What if in the future places that did these special releases made like a special release lager that was like 6%? I know this sounds like a crazy idea, but what if?
The conversation at our table on Saturday might have turned to, can you imagine what a killing someone would make just by rolling around with a cooler of Bud Light and selling those?
I was just going to say that. Like, you got your ice cold Coors Light here.
Yeah. Or maybe they should just weight them, like the front end is all they kind of did. The 20% beers were at the front end.
Yeah.
Oh, God, 20%. Is that even beer? Is that wine?
It was not barley wine.
It's still technically beer.
Okay.
Yeah. But, I mean, it gets into spirits at that point, right?
Right, yeah, you're
40 proof.
That's big beer.
Oh, boy. I definitely could have gone for some of Saturday, especially because they know Saturday is going to be like the day of everyone hanging under the tents all day, beer festival style, for there to be more in the way of new light stuff. And yeah, lagers. There was a good amount of like light soury stuff, but other than IPAs, they really didn't experiment over a ton of stuff. They had a Kolsch one day, and then it was tapped out. I could use some more of that.
Yep.
I like Kolsch's.
I do too. Yeah, maybe we need some more old man beers. This 13% every day is a young man's game.
And they do the light stuff well too. It's not like it's not in their wheelhouse.
No
They
joke.
they tend to focus on the heavier stuff for their anniversaries.
Some of that stuff that they've done for BlizzCons in the past, I think we've talked about them on here. The light stuff has been really good.
Fantastic. I've opted for their lighter things during BlizzCon for staying power.
Is it just this reason?
We got a JJ. You would appreciate. We'll have to show you a picture. We got along with the things we knew we were going to get. Everyone got a D20 where the 20 had been replaced by the Bottle Logic logo.
That's cool.
It was a nice surprise.
Cool,
Yeah, it was a nice little touch.
That's very cool. Was there a theme like board games and D&D and stuff this year?
D&D was the theme.
Oh,
Yeah.
Specifically D&D. Okay.
Very much so. Like OG pencil-drawn dragon style.
Very
cool.
awesome.
Yeah, for when you picked up your passport, there were actually 4 different designs this year, and you picked your class.
Oh, fun. And it's like warrior and mage.
Cleric and wizard and
wizard,
scoundrel.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. Well, we alluded to it at the top. We record on April Fool's Day. I'm gonna soapbox and then jump down into the mud with the rest of you after.
Okay.
Can we do reverse April Fool's Day from now on, where people play jokes throughout the year, and then they just tell people like, "Oh no, that was a joke on April Fool's Day." April Fool's Day has kind of become nicer in a way. A lot of people aren't getting punked by bad, mean jokes, but it has become kind of a corporate holiday.
Yeah.
Like, basically, you wait to see what every company you're doing is doing for April Fool's Day. Like, I got an email from Broken Token with their hugest sale of the year, and you have to click to open it, and it's like 1% off.
Got him.
Blizzard used to be famous for all of their games having announcements that are like, "Hey, we're adding pandas." Actually, that one turns out to be true years later. But
they still do the World of Warcraft fake patch notes.
They do. That's true.
Yes.
That's true.
I think I don't want to speak out of turn here, but I think that was the only one Blizzard did this year.
I have one to follow up on, actually.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'm wrong.
I wasn't aware of another one either.
But there used to be news sites that would dedicate a whole page to the funny things that they put out. And I don't know, it's just become kind of like it peaked maybe about 10 years ago as a corporate fun time, and now has kind of drifted off into, oh boy, it's April Fool's Day, just stay off the internet. Because otherwise you're going to see a Kirby Roomba.
You mean Square Kirby?
I saw a Kirby Roomba.
No, I made in line with kind of what you're saying, I made the comment to a coworker today that I think it would be really funny if a site like The Onion decided to take today and report on nothing but straight factual news.
See? That's what I'm saying. Reverse April Fool's Day.
Yeah.
I think The Onion has done that in the past.
Make it super mundane, too.
I think The Onion has literally done that in the past, where they just took all the AP News headlines and just like reprinted them verbatim.
Wonderful.
And you get angry people in the comments still because, of course.
Because
they
of course.
It was quite a long time ago, though, I think. Maybe 10 years. I don't know.
All right.
So eternity in internet speak.
Yeah.
I'm flipping the soapbox over, though, because I definitely still do smile at some of the April Fool's Day stuff. Anything make you guys smile this year?
Yeah, I had a few. Most of these are really quick. The one of them was the Corsair game launcher. So they put out a video where basically it's the premise is, are you tired of having a dozen different game launchers on your desktop to play all of the games in your library? Well, just download the new Corsair game launcher to organize all of your game launchers for you.
That one is great because there are too many game launchers now, and I want that product actually.
I think Discord does that.
Yeah, and the kicker to me was the feature that they built in their own virtual currency, which you can use to buy other virtual currencies.
Do you have to mine it?
Probably.
That's really good.
So that was one that got me, and then the other one that I liked was the Origin is starting a PC competitive building league.
I'm in.
Where you have to I would absolutely watch this. But
I was going to say, this is like directly in the interest of this podcast.
Yeah, that's the reason why I flagged this one. You basically go head to head building a computer against someone else, and then they throw in twists like you have to use chopsticks to install the RAM, or you have to build it in a room where the only light source is flashing LED.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
I'll send you guys both of these videos because they were fantastic, but this one in particular really made me laugh.
I mean,
that's wonderful.
See, this is why I said I can definitely get off my soapbox afterwards. That's amazing. Oh, they have like a video and everything.
Oh
Ooh, yeah. I'm in for that later. Oh, I have one to send you, but there's some instructions that come with it. So Blizzard does have their fake patch notes for WoW, I think, but they also came out with the Nerglish translator.
Okay.
So you can translate any web page into Murloc.
I like it.
You can just see how it works by, there's a link at the bottom that says translate to Nerglish on this web page. And you can just see what happens to the web page.
This is great.
You can keep clicking that, and the funny thing about it, if you keep clicking it, is the page just keeps getting longer and longer and longer and longer.
Oh man, they just like, oh man, I love it. Their thing like replaces the characters, and so it's just gonna like, because the words get longer each time.
The replacement characters and then packs on to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like turning into Swedish.
So you can copy that link address and put it into your bookmarks bar and translate any web page that way.
I feel like I remember an April Fool's joke that was like this from a long, long time ago where you could snoopify web pages.
Ooh.
And that did what you think it did. And it put like the Snoop Dogg GIF and a bunch of bling all over every website. Yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely a thing.
I mean, I'd be into that. Yeah, well,
that probably doesn't work anymore because it probably used iframes or something.
So,
I found one today that was pretty cute, I thought. Have you guys ever played Rivals of Aether?
No.
You know what that is?
I have not.
It is a Smash Brothers type game, platform fighter, right? That's what they call those?
Yeah.
And it's has a pretty healthy cast of characters, I suppose. Indie game out there. Today, for their April Fool's joke, they released a visual novel called Lovers of Aether.
No.
It's free on Steam right now. Go ahead and download it. It's the characters from the game, the art style drawn by artists and written by the lead writer of that game.
Should I really do this?
I mean, I don't know if you want to.
I mean,
one of the tag words on the features is less words than War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. Don't spend the rest of your life reading the words in this game. So, they're having fun with it.
Wow. Are you tired of fighting? Lovers of Aether is it a game for you? This is a wholesome animal dating simulator set in the worlds of Rivals of Aether.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
And, it's pretty legitimate. They has, a bunch of achievements. It's developed by this guy, Dan Fornes, who's also a developer for Rivals of Aether. Also possibly the lead developer. I'm not clear about that. Don't send a correction. But this is a very cute idea, right? And it's just like, hey, if people that are way into this, I'm sure love this. And it sounds like it's just like a happy, fun time.
I downloaded it.
Yeah, why not?
It's ready
free
to play. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Right on. What have people been up to besides April Fool's jokes in gaming?
I had a chance to play a few games this past weekend. I got through the end of Yakuza Kiwami. I know I had talked about been playing that a bit.
So did they change much on you, or is it... I mean, you played all the Yakuza games before this, or no?
No.
Oh, okay.
But my understanding is this game follows the story pretty closely, but it has a bunch of added cutscenes that kind of give motivation to some of the characters that you met in Zero, which was the prequel game, which came out last it came out more recently than this initial game did.
Right.
And the Kiwami version is supposed to be like the extreme version or whatever, and they sort of, remade the game in the Yakuza 0 engine and did a bunch of stuff and added all these systems and whatever. But like, man, these games are really good at just making like the most Michael Bay action movie endings to everything. It's just like guys are running at each other with their fists and there's explosions in the background and like a helicopter and guys jumping out of it shooting guns that you deflect with your hands, and like it's a lot. It's great.
Add some doves in there, get some John Woo going.
I know. It's like, and then of course you have the showdown with the antagonist, and you both have to rip off your shirts to show your huge Yakuza tattoo all over the back, so that you can fight hand to hand with your shirts off in like slacks.
That's what you need.
Yeah. The game is extremely silly. To be fair, that's not like out of line for what these games are doing. So, that's the kind of vibe you should go in for. Really dumb action movies. And the ending was wonderful. I enjoyed it. Exactly in that vein.
Wonderful.
Game was...
That's what matters.
Exactly. And I rolled off of that game and figured that I needed... Well, I am still playing Apex, but I know you guys don't care.
I mean, I care if you have like insights on that thing, because I just...
My insight is that I keep dying a lot. I should get good.
Yeah. That's kind of how I feel when I play Overwatch, and I don't want to tell you guys I've been playing it.
I have not gotten good.
Just because I don't get good?
Honestly, same.
Yeah. Maybe shooters is not the thing for me. Although, that Master Chief Collection coming to...
That might make me change my mind, because normally I'm in the same boat as you. But
I agree with both of you here, and I really want to play that Master Chief Collection.
It sounds like you're going to have to buy the games except for one of them as DLC inside the game?
That's kind of how they made it sound. I'm not really sure how that's going to work pricing-wise, which is the thing that kind of scares me off of it a bit.
Yeah, I hope each of the games isn't $20 or something.
Yeah.
Considering
because
most
that's
of them
definitely like... Wasn't that thing like $60 on Xbox, and then that was just the whole thing? You got all 4 games or whatever that were in it?
No, yeah, but they've added games to it since then, because if you get what? You get Reach, Halo 1, 2, 3, 4.
And ODST?
ODST. I think that's it.
Or is it Reach, 1, 2, 3, and ODST?
Oh, you think 4 is not inside?
I actually have no idea.
Oh, here we go. Hold on. Master Chief Story comes to PC featuring Reach, Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3, Halo ODST, and Halo 4.
Okay, you were right.
Okay, so there it is.
Perfect.
Plus 120 multiplayer maps and challenge
Across
maps.
5 games.
Yeah. Mouse, keyboard support, 4K.
Like, that all sounds great. Like, I enjoyed playing Halo 1 and 2 back in the day. I would love to play them again on my PC in ridiculous resolution, because I'm sure my PC can do that now.
Yeah.
And like suck at killing the Flood all over again.
Just shotgun at your feet, man. Shotgun at your feet.
But then you get lost, and the whole area is like impossible to figure out where to go, and you just die over. Anyway, I'm not good at shooters.
Oh, I'm going to steal some information I got from another podcast here. Apparently, the Master Chief Collection adds guides to that one level.
Oh, the one level that it was the thing that made me stop playing Halo 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
They added a bunch of arrows so you know where to go.
Oh my god, yes. Amazing.
Yep. What a novel concept.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm most excited to play it. I think the best game in all that is actually ODST. Reach was a lot of fun. I played Reach with a friend. Shout out to Zach if he's out there. We stayed up way too late playing Reach before work. I say before work because it was like 4 a.m. when we beat that thing. And I have very fond memories of Halo 2 and Halo 3.
Same. A lot of Halo 2 multiplayer that I'm very bad at.
Oh, yeah. Halo 2 multiplayer lasted a long time. But I honestly believe if you're going to just go get this and so you can play through all the story, which is probably worthwhile. There's a lot of campaign stuff here. The ODST campaign is the most fun by far.
All right. Well, I've never played 3's campaign or ODST or Reach, so I will be excited to dig in.
Nice. It's weird that we all landed on that one so easily. It's not usual.
I know, right? Something that finally unites the whole pod.
And something that we were previously all against. Not against, but like doesn't land on our lists.
It would have landed on my list way back in the heyday. I had an Xbox and an Xbox 360 in the long ago. I have since removed both, and I'm now obviously we all kind of land in this camp of no more console exclusives, I guess.
Yeah.
Except for Nintendo's, because that's kind of the only way that they operate. I'm not entirely true anymore.
Yeah, who knows? There's hope. What with the Nintendo games getting Xbox Live achievements and stuff now coming up,
and Nintendo licensing out Link.
I know, right?
Yeah, how about that?
Has anybody played that other version of that? The first, because this is a sequel-ish to...
You're talking about Crypt of the Necrodancer.
Crypt of the Necrodancer, right, yeah.
I have not played it.
Cadence of Hyrule, I think. I have not played it. I know that it is a roguelike game, but involves timing to rhythm. Yeah.
I don't know if I know what a rhythm combat game is. Is that like a Patapon style thing?
So from videos I've seen and stuff, basically you have to move on the beats. And there's a little tracker at the bottom, or it can be removed for like bonus difficulty or whatever. That sort of shows you when you need to be moving. It's like squares and grids.
Mm-hmm.
And you damage enemies by bumping into them.
What happens if you don't move on the beat?
You take damage.
Oh.
Or, in some cases it negates what you were trying to do, or there's a whole host of different settings.
Huh.
There have been puzzles in other games that work that same way. Not necessarily that I have played, not necessarily a whole game built on that concept, but
people seem to like it, so.
Yeah. My understanding is it is very difficult.
Oh, man. No. I want to play it. Make it for the casuals. All right. So Kiwami's done. What's next?
Speaking of very difficult games.
Oh, no.
I decided to start playing Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. And spoiler alert, I have died many more times than twice.
That was going to be my first question.
So you're not a shadow?
Unclear to me what Shadows refers to in the context of this game. But you play as a shinobi who is pledged to guard a young lord whose name I haven't really decided on what it is.
You haven't decided, or you can't figure it out?
The game has given your character refers to him very frequently as the young lord or the divine heir.
I see.
But it never refers to him. Like, there are people who refer to him by name, but I can't tell if they're talking about someone else or him.
Okay.
The game opens and it says, hey, the default language for everything in this is Japanese. Is that okay? And I'm like, wait, I want it in English. Like, oh, the subtitles are in English, but the language will be Japanese.
Do they have an
and then
English
you can
option?
go in and yes, you can go, but you have to go in, dig into the menu and find it and change it manually.
So what happens if you say no to the original thing, or is it just like a, hey, we're warning you?
I think it's a, hey, we're warning you, because the voice acting then will be Japanese with English subtitles.
Okay.
Which is fine, I guess. I I opted to turn the English voice acting on because I was so weirded out by the idea that they're like, no, we're not going to show you this English voice acting. Like we're trying to hide it or something.
Huh.
Well, now I want to see it.
I don't know.
It's fine.
If you watch an Akira Kurosawa movie, you probably wouldn't watch it dubbed. You'd watch it subbed.
Yes. So I think that's the vibe they're going for here, especially since the aesthetic of this game is very much like samurai swords and sorcery and all that kind of like samurai TV drama type stuff.
I would chalk it up to game direction rather than anything nefarious.
No, certainly it's not nefarious. I just thought it was the wording of the message that pops up the first second you turn on the game is like, hey, by the way, the default's Japanese, just so you know. And it's not even like just so you know. It's like, hey, the default language is Japanese, period. It's like telling you, hey, this is how it is. It's like, oh, well, I guess you could change it if you want, if you go into the options menu or whatever. But they don't tell you that. Anyway, disregarding all of that,
okay.
the game plays kind of like a Souls game for people who have played the Dark Souls and those sorts of games.
Hard.
Those games are easier than this one in a lot of ways.
Oh, no.
You only have one weapon, which is your sword. So you don't have to worry about finding different weapons and upgrading them. At least so far as I've been able to ascertain, you only have the one. You're getting a lot of these kinds of sub-weapons that sort of attach to your like ninja tools. You have the throwing stars and firecrackers, and you can shoot fire out of a little flame barrel. And I'm trying to think of what other ones I have. I have a few that I don't. Oh, there's an axe. The axe looks really cool. Sort of pops out of your hand and use it to chop off shields. But still, when you're attacking people, you're using the sword all the time. But really, what you're doing a lot of the time is blocking, because these guys kill you really fast, and you can't. It's very difficult so far. I have to upgrade your health.
What's the upgrade
very
system
much?
Like? Sorry.
So you find items when you beat these sort of mini boss characters. You get these prayer beads, and after you obtain a certain number of them, you can upgrade your characters. It says posture and vitality. I'll talk about the posture stuff in a minute, but it didn't seem to upgrade it that much as far as I could tell, so I'm not real sure.
Oof.
I've only found one, and I've only found one upgrade it's worth, and you need 4 of these prayer bead items to upgrade it one time.
So you've only found 4.
I have found 4, yes.
Got it.
And I have fought no real bosses and 4 mini bosses. The game has this system where essentially you're fighting people, in kind of like, the game emphasizes very much that you are not a samurai, you're a shinobi, so you use all these, underhanded tactics and stuff.
Oh,
while you're fighting.
Rogue.
Yes. While you're very happy to throw shurikens and use firecrackers and stuff to scare them, and then walk up behind them and stab them in the back, which is what you should do, because it is by far the easiest way to kill every single thing in this game. Because if you have to engage them in a one-on-one, like, blocking and striking kind of battle, it's going to go bad for you if there's more than one single person. That's been my experience. Because your posture meter, which kind of fills up as you block attacks and as you get hit and stuff like that, can fill up very quickly as soon as you're being hit from 2 sides, and then they just kill you immediately.
Oops.
Once your posture meter has filled, or once the enemy's posture meter has filled, because all the enemies have their own posture meters too, once they're filled, basically you can walk up next to them and tap the attack button and do a death blow, and they die immediately. Except for bosses or mini bosses have multiple death blow icons, and you then have to do death blow them multiple times in order to kill them, right? It's very difficult. You're essentially just you're sort of standing there with your sword in the neutral position, kind of like, you have the guy targeted, so you're locked on, and you kind of just circle around him, and you wait for a tell, a flash of his movement, or his leg to rear back, or his arm to swing one way, and then you either have to decide if you're going to try and mash the block button or dodge really quick to the side and mash the attack button. That's kind of how it's been going for me.
It's kind of like the old spaghetti western, wait for them to reach for the gun moment.
Honestly, yes, there is a lot of that. You see the guy over there, and you're like, okay, there's no way for me to sneak around this guy. I kind of just have to do this. And it becomes a lesson in like, okay, I have to fight this guy and die probably a ton of times in order for me to figure out his moves. So it's like, okay, I know that this guy with the spear, he's going to have this big thrusting attack, and I can counter it if I bought the right upgrade in the upgrade tree. But those upgrade points are not easy to come by because it involves killing a lot of people in order to get them. Once you get the upgrade points, they're yours to keep. But if you die, the bar that you're using, you lose half of the currently earned bar. Right? So like the progress towards the next point, you lose half every time you die.
Oof.
So, once you get that, that first pip, you're like, all right, yay, I have the upgrade point. Now I can die as many times as I want. It doesn't matter. And they have this resurrection system that you can sort of use to get back up after you've been killed. But there are downsides to using the resurrection, which is a story-related thing.
Is there a gameplay-related downside?
Maybe. I can't tell.
Okay. It's not like damaging your stats or something.
No, it doesn't appear to be damaging your stats.
That was a qualified your right there.
Yeah.
Your stats.
But it's not clear to me if that has more far-reaching effects yet because I haven't done anything with it yet. So I'll find out more, I assume, because there's a bunch of stuff going on.
Oh, no. How's the story dragging you in? Okay, good.
It's cool. It's definitely that like, okay, the young lord has been taken and now I have to go get him back from the people that stole him. But also, meanwhile, there's clearly been like a coup in this land and I've been out of commission for God knows how long because of what happens. And, you're kind of trying to find your way around. And it's a very like Eastern mythology kind of way, super tall bamboo forests and Japanese looking castles and, monkey men and weird demons from Japanese legends and stuff like that. So it's been very cool. I love the story, is kind of basic in that way, but it's enough to get you going, They've already done a flashback. There's a playable flashback, which is weird for these kind of games.
Okay.
They have a playable flashback.
Yeah, like as part of one of the things that you do during this one section, you obtain an item that then your guy meditates, and the meditation is he's remembering something that happened, and then you play through that flashback.
All right.
It's weird.
It's kind of cool. Right on.
Yeah, so I'm enjoying it so far. We'll see. I imagine it's going to take me quite a while to beat it because as I alluded to, I have died many, many, many times. So I think that trend is likely to continue.
Michael, have you continued your 3-pronged attack, or are you focusing solely on iconoclasts?
I didn't have a ton of time to play.
I wonder why.
Yeah, with all of the beer drinking merriment that was going on.
Who could say?
But I did have a little more time to dump into iconoclasts. I think I mentioned last week that it's one of those games that is very easy to pick up and just play for a few minutes, unlike the other two, which are both massively open world RPG style, which tend to require you to sink some more time into at a go.
Mm-hmm. The reason I haven't started Breath of the Wild.
You still liking it and everything?
Yeah, I am. It's still it is still very sort of tongue in cheek in its approach to the story.
Nice.
Which is kind of nice in that it pokes fun at some of the things that tend to make up your standard Metroidvania.
I have a component class update.
Oh?
Yeah. This is like a component class annex edition.
Something we've already covered?
Yes. An incident that was covered on this.
Uh-oh.
I think that I mentioned that I had, in the processor episode, I had tried to obtain an older processor. Did I talk about this? I think I did.
I think you did. I think you mentioned it, but we didn't go into it too much.
So I have an older socket PC that I'm currently running now that I want to use for something else later, but I want to be able to rip my graphics card out. And the chip that I'm using currently, the processing chip, does not do its own graphics. So that chip series has been discontinued for quite a while, so you have to kind of find a new old one, which are expensive because people know they got you over a barrel. Or you can find a used one that's been ripped out of a computer. And the previous one that I had tried to get from Amazon was all broken on the bottom and didn't look so hot.
Right.
Yeah. This one, I have now gone through a seemingly reputable seller on eBay who, it looks like to me, buys up old PCs and yanks the useful components out of them and then just warehouses a bunch of that stuff.
Okay.
That's so smart.
He had like more than 10 of these old i5 3450s. So we're going to try this for $30-ish and see if popping this bad boy into this computer works at some point.
Do those have integrated graphics?
It does, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm on an i5 30. Well, and it ends in P, and P means there's no graphics, so they can make the chip cheaper, right?
Right. Yes.
So this one does not have a P, which means that this series of chips had integrated graphics. I don't think they make P processors anymore.
I was going to say I think that's also true.
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen P ones in a very long time. So.
At a certain point, just forcing people, saying your integrated graphics are good enough, for a lot. Yeah. I mean, the current chips all do 4K. The one we talked about on Component Class all does 4K. So,
yeah, in terms of just like rendering video, like CPUs are pretty good at that stuff these days.
Yeah, they have a lot of bandwidth in them. So it'll be a fun side project to this computer build because we can see how effective it is and whether it's worthwhile for people considering building like a streaming PC or not a separate PC for that, or maybe a PC for your den or something for your kids, or if you're trying to build a quick, cheap machine that just does basic stuff, maybe you can piece something together that's maybe not brand new. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's an overlooked benefit of gaming in the PC space is that these components are expensive, and putting the whole thing together is going to cost you, quite a bit of money, quite a few $100s, But those PCs can have a useful life for a very long time, beyond the length of one console generation, multiple console generations, depending on what you're trying to do with them. And, there's a lot of games out there that don't need you to be running the latest and greatest stuff. And I'm sure integrated graphics can get you just fine in terms of performance on a lot of older stuff.
I'm betting something like Iconoclasts, maybe.
Oh, yeah. You could
Very
definitely
possible.
run that on a machine that is way powered down from what I've got here.
Or maybe Love of the Aether.
Yeah, Lovers of Aether, who knows? But like games that have been coming out for years and years, and go take a look at Steam and guess how many games are on there. How many of those came out, before 2015, or something like that? Buying components older than 2015 on the internet is probably not very easy, right?
Right.
So if you've had your PC longer than that, already you have access to this large series of games from the past. That's not to say anything of emulation. And, if you want to play games from the DOS era or old arcade games and stuff like that aren't around anymore.
Yeah.
Hey, man, you can run Dolphin on a lot of stuff, I'm saying. It's a GameCube and Wii emulator. So,
yeah.
It's a wide world out there, and that stuff can have a very long shelf life. So even if you can't stay on the bleeding edge of playing whatever the latest and greatest stuff is, that PC is going to be useful for a very long time.
Yeah. Do we want to, let's do it. Let's do a little quick component class right now. I'm just going to throw us under the bus.
Okay.
CPUs. We talked about them last week. We talked about how they needed cooling last week. But I kind of mentioned like, oh, yeah, a lot of them are fans, or they're hooked up to fans, or they, you blow your air out of the fan. We talked about fans a little bit and then didn't really get too into anything other than cooling the CPU. But I think it's good for people to know that a computer case, has airflow.
Yes, it's very important.
And that airflow is aided and in some cases even it's a necessity to have fans in there blowing air around.
Yep.
Basically exhausting air, right?
Yes, that's correct, right? Like the heat is coming off of, the graphics card or the CPU or, whatever component is being warm at the time.
Yeah, your SSDs do make some heat.
Electricity generates heat by existing, right? So using it, using the power is going to cause heat to happen as a byproduct. That's just physics.
So if your case was a sealed box, JJ, how long would your computer turn on for?
Who knows? But probably not very long, because that fresh air is a key component in getting the heat away from the processor so that it can stay, or whatever component, so that it can stay at a relatively normal room temperature, which is sort of where they want to be.
All right. So I'll cut some holes in my box, and I'll put one of those CPU coolers you guys talked about on that thing. Now will it be fine?
Well, it'll be better. But it's not likely to be great because you've just drilled some holes haphazardly in a box, and that doesn't seem like a smart way to do it. You kind of want to create a flow of air where cold air or room temperature air comes in one side and hot air goes out a different side, such that it passes over the various components that you need to be cooled.
Mike,
yeah,
how'd you do in your fluids class?
I did pretty well in my fluids class, actually. I loved fluids.
Which way does heat go?
Heat rises, if that's what you're after. But I think what you're getting more into what gets more to the heart of your question is conductive versus convective heat transfer.
I like this.
Explain.
So conductive heat transfer is what we touched on last week with having your cooler mounted directly to your CPU. So the heat goes from the hotter component, which is the CPU, and transfers through the thermal paste into the metal of the cooler component, which is the cooler, through the thermal gradient. And you compare that to convective heat transfer, which basically says you have a moving fluid carrying away heat.
Oh, so we're pouring water through this thing.
So air counts as a fluid.
Technically does. Everyone forgets this because it behaves like a fluid.
Right.
So we're using air convectively through the case. And to do that, we're going to need some assistance from some fans. They make fans. They attach. A lot of your cases come with them. Usually 2, maybe more. Sometimes there's one on the front, one on the back. Sometimes there's a couple on the front, one on the back. Usually there's one on the back.
Mm-hmm.
And that one's blowing air out. And then most designers will pull air from the top, or not from the top, from the front or the bottom, and blow it through so that it goes out the back and out the top.
It is definitely something that is like on a per case basis, but in general, you are correct.
Yeah. Fans can come in all of 2 shapes and sizes.
I was going to say basically all of them come in essentially 2 different diameters.
Yep.
Well, nearly all of them are circular.
No, not quite. Yes, but no. They are circular, but they're also square.
The fans are measured in the radius of the circular part of the fan. To be more precise here, there are 70 millimeter ones and 120 millimeter.
And 140 millimeter.
Okay. That's a slightly bigger one that I have not seen.
Case fans have basically been upgraded to 120s stock and 140s upgraded. Because fan housings have gotten so immensely smaller. Ooh. The housings of these things basically go tip to tip on these fans. They barely have housings anymore. So they can squeeze 140 millimeter fans places they couldn't before.
I believe it.
Michael, If I had a larger fan blade, would I move more or less air?
I mean, the Occam's razor. But yeah, you're going to move more air with a larger fan.
So if I move more air with a larger fan, I can run it at less speed?
To move the same amount of air, yes.
Right. Making larger fans quieter in most cases.
Yes. The other important factor is dust, which can get into your case via these fans. And you would like to keep your case and probably your room where this computer is dust-free as much as is possible. And that's where you want to have some sort of mesh or grating or filter or something like this, hopefully in front of these fans.
Usually built into the case, so we'll talk about that when we do some case stuff. Ball bearings that are inside these fans can also make a sound difference. There are many websites out there dedicated to measuring the sound at certain speeds of these fans. And I think
also like people that like the opposite of they just want the most air and the loudest and craziest RPM speed possible.
Sure. If you have a server room that your computer is in.
Or you're going to have your noise-canceling gaming headset on anyway.
Okay.
I still even think in that case, maybe you should consider how loud it is. Some of these fans can seriously sound like jets.
Yep. It's kind of up to you, really. You know, a lot of people pick fans for their looks. These people have Corsair and a couple other companies have gotten insane with the amount of LEDs they can fit into these fans.
Yes, they are a big component of like customization and lighting and, personalization in the case.
Huge, because they're all different colors. They can be literally any color you can imagine, almost from any company. There's different designs with different blade shapes, etc. And we haven't talked about 3-pin versus 4-pin, though. So this kind of gets into motherboards again a little bit, but you have to power your fans. So they're going to eventually track back. They don't go to your power supply. They go to your motherboard. And a 3-pin fan is what I will call a dumb fan. It's on or it's off or it's running at a speed. Yeah, right. Yeah.
You can usually manage them in terms of like, hey, the fan can go faster and slower.
Yep.
But it's not going to be like giving you all this awesome feedback about how fast it's going and stuff. It's just going to let you know, like,
right.
You'll hear it going faster because it's going faster.
A lot of people use dumb fans if they're going to, don't care if they only turn on and off because they go to a fan header, which is like a controller aside from the motherboard. So maybe they use the motherboard to power this fan header. But then outside the case, there's a LED panel that has controls for the fans that you can control there. You can control them, I think, through software, even if they're 3-pin. Correct me if I'm wrong.
A lot of like BIOSes and stuff may have that stuff built in, depending on your motherboard.
Yeah, or you can download a third-party fan controller.
Right. 4-pin fans are smart fans. I think they call them PWM.
Pulse Width Modulation.
Okay, explain that because I never knew what it stood for.
So pulse width modulation has to do with the length of the signal that you apply in terms of basically current on, current off to a device. And by changing the on and off time, you can vary the speed.
I learned about it in electrical engineering, and it's done essentially for this exact reason, to control fans and motors and things like this. And you can sort of think of it in terms of like a sine wave. Right, where the up part is where the fan is on and the down part is where it's not. And you just sort of make the up part bigger and smaller, and you're modulating the width of that pulse.
You two are getting over my head here.
We could talk about differential equations and stuff and how we come up with this.
No, thank you. I'm good. I know that this is 4 pins means it's a smart fan.
Correct.
Yeah. It's cool because it gives you a lot more feedback too, and a PWM fan can be directly controlled through the motherboard's BIOS without much effort. You can go in there and really monkey with it, but they run a lot quieter overall because they can be modulated according to heat much easier.
Right. It's easier for software to hook into them and say, like, okay, when the CPU temperature reaches X, I can trigger the fan to go up 5 RPM or whatever.
And they can be much more reactive, I think.
Right.
Oh, the temp dropped. We can drop the fans. I think this is the part where I'm supposed to tell you what I bought. Hold on.
Just got flashbacks to college, all of that talking about PWM.
Yeah, we deal with it at work with all the parts that we have that have little motors in them.
Oh, sure.
Sorry. In the theme of this thing is going to be a display piece, I wanted some nice looking fans that had a little bit of customization, but were not nuts. Also, that would stand out from the case a little bit. But those were not my chief concerns. My chief concern was noise. And one of the quietest testing fans out there overall is the Noctua NFP14S Redux 1200.
It's a mouthful.
It is. NF, Noctua fan. P for whatever P is for.
The part number.
Yeah, 14 for 140 millimeter. Redux, because they redesigned it with new little teeth, it looks like, on these blades. They're smarter than me. I don't know.
Okay.
Sure.
Aerodynamics are very complicated and very, very difficult.
Shout out to the aeronautical engineers on this podcast.
Yeah. It's it gets real. The learning curve gets real steep.
I know that aerodynamics is basically the entire basis for F1 racing, and that stuff costs millions and millions and millions of dollars. So
yeah, when the air is smooth, everything's real easy. But as soon as you introduce turbulence, there is no governing mathematics.
Well, they figured something out with these, and the last number was 1200, which means this fan can go up to 1200 RPMs. So,
very cool.
Yeah, and I bought 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I bought 5 of these. It's
a lot.
It's a lot, but I wanted to fill out all the whole case with fans, because more air is better, right?
Maybe.
Well, my theory is, if I'm moving air from every fan port, I can move as much air with less RPMs, and less RPMs is less noise.
Okay.
I don't like where this is going.
I get it, but there's a non-zero amount of noise based on running the motor, right?
Correct.
Sure, it's less noise, not no noise.
Right, yeah. This will be in experiential testing, I suspect. So you're going to run it, and then you're going to be like, this seems too loud. You're going to turn 2 fans way down, and then see how it is, and then maybe turn 1 off, and then see how it is, and
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of an experiment. They were not crazy expensive. I got them on sale. I think they were like $15 a piece once they were on sale.
Good deal.
Yeah, not too bad. You can, and I did, buy some accessories that they sell for these things, which are pads and what do they call these? Mounts.
Sure, so that it's like softer mounted to the case so the case doesn't vibrate.
Right. Yep. So they're not screwed into the case. They are soft mounted to the same screw holes with these like very rubbery pins that should, in theory, reduce vibration.
Yep.
And
good stuff.
According to them, they say vibration equals noise, which I believe.
They are correct. Yes. Very cool.
Yeah. Fans are cool.
Unintended.
You can spend... Oh, God. I didn't even realize. I didn't... If anybody else has fan puns, where should they send?
Wait, it wasn't on purpose? Wow.
No, it really honestly was not. I was literally thinking about how many more things we could... I did not realize before I started researching what fans I wanted. Like, I knew people had LED crazy fans, right? But then there's fans for people that are just, like, super into fans.
Yeah.
And, like, cooling and remounting a lot of things. So, like, a lot of people buy fans to remount other things. Like radiators with different fans.
I want to be clear. You could just buy, like, $2 fans or the fans that come with your case, and like 90% of the time is probably going to be fine.
Yes,
but it might be loud.
You are absolutely right. We should clarify this for most people. This fan thing, not part of what you should do in building your first PC.
Yeah, totally optional.
Your PC case will come with fans.
Use those.
They are fine.
Exactly.
Yep. Okay, now that we've clarified that, send your fan puns to...
that's YouTube. We Were Gamers. Subscribe on there. But no, our email address is podcast@weweregamers.com. We are at We Were Gamers on Instagram and Twitter, and follow us on Facebook at We Were Gamers. We'd love to hear from you in whatever method you want to contact us.
Fans are cool.
I can't believe you didn't know that wasn't on purpose.
It literally just came out of my mouth, and then I was staring at this Noctua page trying to find more sound information. And then Michael said it, and I thought, oh, whoops.
All right, I'm out of here, guys. Good one.
Yeah.
All right, take it easy.
Later.